Hello fellow AI art enthusiasts, my name is Thayane and in this video, I wanted to take a look at some artists and what their names evoke when used as prompts in Midjourney. Firstly, I really want to emphasize that the purpose of this video is not to copy any artist's work. Instead, think of this experiment as remixing some parts of the artist's styles into totally unexpected things. I have debated with myself whether to use any artist's names in my prompts, but I decided that I would like to honor the artists of this video by talking about them and remembering their work and how they have left a positive impact on the generations that followed. I am sure that many people were inspired by their work and will be inspired also in the future. This will probably be a multi-part series, and I will include these artists in chronological order. Also, we have to mention the issue of copyright before going further into this topic. As any law anywhere currently stands, it is not possible to copyright an artist's style. To be respectful to any living artists or the estates of any past artists, I recommend to not use more recent artists' names in your prompts. For this video I have done some research, and will only include artists whose works should be in the public domain. It depends on which country were they from or where they lived. In most cases, the works themselves are protected for a number of years after their publication, or a certain number of years have passed since the artist was alive. Usually it's 50 or 70 years in most countries, but it's 95 in the United States. So to go over it again, an artist's style or their name cannot be copyrighted. But as we do not know if any copyrighted works have been included in the training dataset of Midjourney, I want to be respectful and not mention any artists in my videos whose works are still under copyright. Even though mentioning their names may produce images that look totally amazing and not anything like any of the artist's work, let's not do that. And it is kind of unfortunate that if you are after a certain aesthetic that you really like, it may be quite difficult to achieve it without mentioning an artist whose overall style may look like what you are looking for. Since this series will be in chronological order, the copyright on the artists of this video has expired ages ago, as we shall be looking at 25 artists from 14th to 16th century. This selection has been made because these names actually significantly change the look of the images when used as prompts, meaning that some or all of their work may be included in the training data for Midjourney. For this experiment, I have first prompted an artist's name on its own to see what it does and what happens. And then I have selected some subjects to combine the name with. The more contrast in the subject matter, the better in my opinion. So there will be as minimal of a chance as possible of producing images that may look like the original works of the artist. I only want to remix their styles in totally unexpected ways. Even better is to remix several artists' styles together to produce totally unique-looking images and styles. This time I have selected 8 different subjects. 4 for default Midjourney version 6 model, and 4 different ones for the raw model. First subject is minimalism. It is a style that has appeared in more recent times, and my hope is that it kind of contrasts the excess of the earlier art styles. Second subject is spaceship. I doubt any of the artists currently in public domain ever even imagined a spaceship, and I like sci-fi themes. Third subject is vector art. I wanted to introduce computer graphics to these really old styles and hoping for some surprisingly unexpected results. Fourth subject is neon lights, something that definitely didn't exist back then, but may alter the color of the images. Then the raw style subjects. Fifth subject is anthropomorphic animal. I tried to spell it correctly this time. What can I say? It's a difficult word to spell. Sixth subject is stencil, a word for a technique that these artists probably did not use and therefore a way to mix the styles in a totally different way. Seventh subject is mecha. Robots and mechanical things are a thing of recent times, so again a way to produce totally unexpected images. Eighth and final subject is anime. Also a more recent development with its own style and impact on the images. Let's see what happens. Cimabue, circa 1240 to 1302, was one of the most renowned Italian painters of the Proto-Renaissance period from Florence. He is celebrated for beginning to abandon the rigid Byzantine style and introducing more naturalism and emotion into his religious paintings and frescoes. His famous works like the Santa Trinita Mesta altarpiece and the Crucifixion at the Basilica of San Domenico in Arezzo marked a pivotal shift towards the naturalistic style that would flourish in the Renaissance. Duccio Di Buoninsegna, circa 1255 to 1319, was a prominent Italian painter considered the founder of the Sienese school of painting during the late Byzantine and Proto-Renaissance period. His masterpiece is the Maesta altarpiece, an expansive double-sided panel depicting the Maesta, Madonna enthroned, on one side and scenes from the Passion of Christ on the other. With its emotive figures and rich colors, it exemplified the elegant linear style typical of Sienese art. Giotto Di Bondone, circa 1266 to 1337, simply known as Giotto, was a Florentine painter and architect, whose work marked a decisive break from the Byzantine style towards the full realism and naturalism of the Renaissance. His most famous works are the innovatively naturalistic frescoes on the life of Christ and the Virgin in the Scrovegni Chapel in Padua. Giotto's incorporation of chiaroscuro, perspective, and humanistic figures made him a trailblazer of Italian Renaissance art. Simone Martini, circa 1284 to 1344, was a leading Italian painter from Siena celebrated as one of the greatest masters of the Gothic and Proto-Renaissance periods. He developed an elegant, courtly style with slender, graceful figures and rich colors, seen in masterpieces like the Maesta altarpiece and frescoes in the Basilica of San Francesco in Assisi. Martini's meticulous use of line, decorative surfaces, and tender human emotion made him highly influential on later Renaissance artists. Limbourg brothers, active period around 1385 to 1416, consisting of Paul, Herman, and Johanne, were renowned Dutch miniature painters and manuscript illuminators. They are best known for creating the stunning, imaginative miniatures and decorations throughout the lavish, très riches œuvres du Duc de Berry, considered one of the supreme artistic accomplishments of the international Gothic period. Their vibrant scenes depicting courtly life, labor, and nature exemplify the colorful, ornate late medieval style. Hubert Van Eyck, circa 1366 to 1426, was an innovative Flemish painter and one of the earliest masters of oil painting technique. Together with his younger brother Jan van Eyck, he created the monumental Ghent altarpiece, a complex, multifaceted polyptych considered one of the most important artworks in European history. Hubert's pioneering oil painting methods enabled the vivid colors and exquisite realism that made the altarpiece so revolutionary for its time. Tommaso Masaccio, 1401 to 1428, was a groundbreaking Italian Renaissance painter, praised as a pioneer of naturalistic painting and scientific linear perspective. His greatest masterpieces are the frescoes depicting scenes from the life of St. Peter in the Brancacci Chapel of the Santa Maria del Carmen in Florence. With their sculptural figures, deft use of chiaroscuro, and innovative perspective, these works marked a decisive shift towards the artistic realism of the Renaissance. Jan van Eyck, circa 1390 to 1441, was a revolutionary Flemish painter, celebrated as one of the first true masters of oil painting technique. Along with Hubert van Eyck, his most acclaimed work is the Ghent altarpiece, renowned for its innovative use of oil paint to create brilliant, enamel-like intense colors and exquisite, near-photographic realism and detail. Other famous works, like the Arnolfini portrait, cemented his reputation as a pioneer of Northern Renaissance art. Robert Campin, circa 1375 to 1444, was an influential Flemish painter considered one of the first great masters of early Netherlandish painting and the founder of the Northern Renaissance style. He is best known for pioneering the use of oil painting and introducing realistic domestic interior scenes and portraits, as exemplified in his masterpiece, the Merode altarpiece. Fra Angelico, circa 1395 to 1455, was an Italian Renaissance painter, celebrated for his exquisite, delicately decorative frescoes and altarpieces with brilliant colors and gilding. A Dominican friar, his serene religious works like the frescoes in the monastery of San Marco in Florence exemplified the beauty and piety of early Renaissance art. Roger van der Weyden, circa 1399 to 1464, was an influential Flemish painter praised as one of the leading Northern Renaissance artists after Jan van Eyck. His realistic and emotively expressive religious paintings like The Descent from the Cross demonstrated his mastery of the newly developed oil technique and complex compositions. Donatello, circa 1386 to 1466, was a pioneering Florentine sculptor considered one of the greatest of the Italian Renaissance. His groundbreaking works like the Marble David and his study of the nude male body helped develop a more naturalistic, classical style and move sculpture into the realism of the Renaissance era. Paolo Uccello, 1397 to 1475, was an Italian painter and mathematician from Florence. He is renowned for his pioneering use of linear perspective through close observational study, seen in religious works, like the flood and secular pieces depicting battle scenes and hunts from imaginative, seemingly impossible perspectives. Geertgen tot Sint Jans, circa 1460 to 1495, was an innovative Dutch painter considered one of the predecessors of the Dutch Renaissance. He was praised for his vivid landscapes, intricate details, and masterful use of light and shadow, exemplified in pieces like the Nativity at Night and the Holy Kinship altarpiece. Martin Schongauer, circa 1450 to 1491, was an influential German engraver and painter, whose detailed, expressive engravings and panels depicting religious scenes greatly advanced the Northern Renaissance style. His engravings like the Temptation of St. Anthony demonstrated his innovative use of cross-hatching and chiaroscuro. Piero Della Francesca, circa 1415 to 1492, was an acclaimed Italian painter of the early Renaissance praised for his pioneering use of linear perspective and his serene, geometric compositions. His masterworks include frescoes like The History of the True Cross in Arezzo and paintings such as the Brera Madonna demonstrating his revolutionary developments in perspective, proportion, and atmosphere. Hans Memling, circa 1430 to 1494, was a renowned German-born Flemish painter celebrated for his precise realism and brilliant use of color evident in both religious works and secular portraiture and scenes. Two of his most famous paintings are the diptych of Martin van Nieuwenhove and the elaborate Last Judgment altarpiece. Carlo Crivelli, circa 1435 to 1495, was an Italian Renaissance painter from Venice, known for his beautiful and intricate temper panel paintings decorated with elaborate architectural frames, jewels, and gilding. His most celebrated works include the Annunciation with Saint Emedius altarpiece and the Pietà, now in the Vatican museums. Benozzo Gozzoli, circa 1420 to 1497, was an Italian Renaissance painter from Florence renowned for his vibrant, narrative fresco cycles depicting detailed scenes of contemporary life. His most famous works are the procession frescoes in the Palazzo Medici Riccardi in Florence and the Old Testament scenes in the Camposanto monument in Pisa. Filippino Lippi, circa 1457 to 1504, was an Italian painter active in Florence during the Italian Renaissance. He carried on the tradition of elegant linear style from his father Fra Filippo Lippi but added more intellectual, allegorical components, seen in major works like the Strozzi Chapel frescoes and the Adoration of the Christ Child. Andrea Mantegna, circa 1431 to 1506, was a prominent Italian Renaissance painter and printmaker celebrated for his pioneering use of linear perspective and classical antiquity influences. Major masterpieces include the Camera Picta frescoes, the San Zeno altarpiece, and his revolutionary foreshortened Lamentation over the Dead Christ. Gentile Bellini, circa 1429 to 1507, was a leading Renaissance painter from the Venetian school, renowned for his highly decorative, ornately detailed religious paintings and portraits. Along with his more famous brother Giovanni, he helped develop the rich coloring and atmospheric styles typical of Venetian Renaissance art. Giorgione, circa 1477 to 1510, was an extremely influential Italian Renaissance painter whose poetic, atmospheric landscapes and innovative figurative compositions helped pioneer the distinctly coloristic Venetian style that would be fully realized by later masters like Titian. Sandro Botticelli, 1445 to 1510, was one of the greatest Florentine painters of the early Renaissance, celebrated for his elegant linear style, exquisite draftsmanship, and rich symbolism and allegory. Major works include The Birth of Venus, Primavera, and his famous illustrations of Dante's Divine Comedy. Aldus Manutius, circa 1449 to 1515, was not a painter or sculptor but rather a pioneering printer and publisher in Renaissance Venice. He is celebrated for developing the compact pocketbook design and typeface that became the model for Renaissance printing, allowing wider dissemination of literature and knowledge. Alright, those were the artists for this video. Let me know in the comments if you found any of them to be inspiring for your purposes. There were a few in the mix that probably got some inspiration from other things as well, but decided to keep them in because the visuals were nice. That is just the nature of generative AI. Sometimes the same words or names can have different meanings and aesthetics, so it's always fun to see those kinds of surprises. Thank you so much for watching, and let's continue prompting.